Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of DC Alliance. Of course, I'm your host Clay, and with me, of course, is Travis Hines. How you doing today, Travis?
Pretty good, Clay. Winding down on my work term, work placement, whatever we want to call it. Just a couple weeks left. Uh, kind of enjoying the content. We got a little couple days off from the content that we've been getting with the boys, Young Justice and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Days
It's
off from content. Oh wait, I mean, that was gonna sound really like throwing shade. I did not mean to. I did this to myself. I am constantly reading, I am constantly watching, and I am constantly listening. Like, I don't get a day off.
I've had to
And it kind of
unplug for the last 2 days, and it was pretty nice to unplug after pushing, watching, like I put myself into a pretty crappy corner. Uh, Listeners, go and listen to a walk through the multiverse this week. I joined Joe. Well, this past week I joined Joe. It dropped Sunday, yesterday, to talk about the first 3 episodes of The Boys. But Clay, I backed myself into a corner where it got to 2:30, and I just started watching the episodes. So I had to fly through those. The third episode I was watching while I was cooking supper. I'm 15 minutes late, but got there, had a great discussion. Somehow got into the topic slash story of when I got attacked by multiple hot dog vendors. So that was a fun little addition. So listen to that, folks, if you want to hear about that very crazy story when I was 18 years old. Uh, yeah, so it was fun time. I want to just thank Joe for having me. And the boys, wow. Boys, Kenobi, you're over there with Star Wars with an awesome show, Kenobi. The boys from
it.
Marvel Alliance are starting up with Miss Marvel soon.
Yep.
Over here on Superhero Discussions, I've had Young Justice for a while. Hi, we're over here on DC Alliance. Hi, hi.
Hey, let's
We got a
slow
trailer
your
to talk
roll.
about next week. There you
Slow
go.
your
There you
roll
go.
here. I
Positive
will
times.
go ahead and say, although Chris loves me using the "I'm deep in depression" meme, that's not been the case recently. And we've kind of been. I am willing to say that I'm still on the fence because we haven't seen legitimate content from the change with Zaslav. Now, we are seeing what I would say good things with some caveats to it with the changes that Zaslav is making. So, I'm willing to say that right now we're good. We're talking we at least have content to talk about for the past few weeks. Now, in
That's
regards to
true, but
Superman and Lois, on the other hand,
that's spoken from someone who clearly hasn't watched the Gotham Knights trailer and probably never played
uh
it.
no, I was never going to watch that. I heard
We
from
got a
my
story. We got a story that involves that at the end of the show that I just put in there just to make you laugh because I couldn't stop
well
laughing. I don't think I've
so
ever
so
seen somebody
before
ever do
so
that.
before we do the GUA paperwork like we always do, I want to go ahead and tell you my co-host for Batman News Weekly watched it, and then he heard one line from a character and then he immediately turned it off and swore he would never finish the trailer ever again. So apparently there is a line where Carrie Kelly's character tells this new character that they made for the show, "Oh yeah, I knew your father. I knew he was Batman. He called me his little Robin." And my co-host was like, "That sounded really predatory," so I went ahead and just shut it off. And I'm just like,
It was
"Yeah,
a
no."
whole. It was shut offable and 90 seconds before that, Clay. I am I will not give this a chance. I'm a big proponent in giving stuff a chance, but this was so goddamn awful that I don't even know how.
No,
What
do you know what's really
Zaslav
sad?
can't see it. Don't show that to him. Just keep it under
No,
wrap. Maybe
like
that's
let, let,
why.
let me
But
just go ahead and say this again. We'll have this small discussion before we do the G Wave Network. But I have seen some of the most positive people on my timeline on Twitter say this is clearly not for me. And I'm like, who is it for? Like these people usually sit down and they watch the CW DC CW shows, and they're like, okay, some are for me, some are not. Still going to give these episodes a chance, going to finish out the season. These people are the more positive people on my timeline whenever it comes to the DCCW. Even they don't like this trailer.
S-Bubs. That Robin scene was pretty much at the end of the trailer, so it sounds like he watched the whole thing. So let's say when he shut off the trailer, he said, "I'll never watch this show," because that's the exact same sentiment
Basically.
I had. Because, and I'm not like, if there's people that enjoy this and they make a fan base out of this, more power to it to keep going. I don't think I'll ever watch it, but it was just a little fun fact, and we have a little.
I will continue to say I think Gotham Knights is the Morbius of the DCCW. On the game says it is getting Stargirl 13 episode treatment or a 22 plus episode.
Don't know.
I don't
Definitely
know.
not going to spend my
Nor
time
do I really
researching
care.
on the game. Like, it's one of those things where I like this.
The
could
less
not
I
be
know
less
about
for
this
me.
show, the better my mental health will be.
You're
So,
good. You're good.
I
Yeah. Now, listeners, I just want to say one thing. I did kind of have Clay. Clay didn't say no. I'll say this: if we got to a point where we didn't have any content to talk about this week, Clay was open to potentially reacting for you guys on the show.
Here's a little secret to you, Travis. I was never going to watch it.
Okay, well, sorry. I wonder if we could convince the listener. You're a great guy to just say maybe.
I mean, I didn't want to just flat out be like, no, that's bullshit, But I mean,
in reality,
with
3 minutes
as
wouldn't
much
kill you. 3
again
minutes
as
wouldn't kill you for content. It wouldn't kill you if we had no content. I would watch the thing I hate the most for content in reality. But we got this is a great news.
no. What
from
was
DC
it that
Studios.
I said? What was it that I said? I said that I would be more willing. Oh no. We were talking about Bad Batch and Star Wars and stuff. I said that I would be willing to watch the worst episode of Bad Batch than watch a single episode of the new season of Titans. And that's kind of how I feel with Gotham Knights. Think of
you have history to back you up for
Titans. Yeah.
But and you're not wrong. Unfortunately,
I do have history with Gotham Knights. I
build
saw
up
the poster.
prejudice. You build up prejudice, and I want to say he's wrong, but in reality, his prejudice is helping him avoid Gotham Knights, which is not wrong in this case. But now he may miss a thing, but I honestly, if it's popular in pop culture, like general public, Clay may check it out afterwards. But I don't think he's ever getting suckered into something as it's starting watching it if he doesn't like it anymore.
Yeah, no. So Eddie Casewell says, in my opinion, I think 10 to 13 episode treatment works very well. Don't need all the filler episodes.
Exactly.
That's what we very much believe here at the GUA with any and all shows.
That's one of the benefits of streaming, Clay. Since we have streaming, it kind of shine a great light on lower episode counts of work. I'll shut up now. We'll let you get into what.
Yes, let's go ahead and go through the network plugs here. Of course, DC Alliance is, of course, a part of the GUA. What that means, of course, is we just have a plethora of shows, 8 shows over the course of 7 days a week. Some of them monthly, some of them bi-weekly, some of them weekly. Starting off the week, of course, is Slice of Film and Ranger Alliance on Mondays. On Tuesdays is DC Alliance. Wednesdays, of course, is Superhero Discussions. Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance. And Fridays is, of course, Marvel Alliance, with Saturday being, of course, a walk through the multiverse. And our monthly show on Sunday being World's Finest True Believers. Now, there's some caveats to all of these shows, of course. So, Slice of Film and Ranger Alliance, of course, are bi-weekly. We are both having back-to-back shows because Slice of Film had Top Gun and then Top Gun Maverick. I had my news episode that Travis was just listening to earlier today. And then we're doing a little bit of a catch-up on reviews of comics. And of course, we start season 3 of Mighty Morphin next week. So that's going to be very fun. Of course, DC Alliance, of course, is live every single Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, of course, me and Hines usually start to we start a little early depending on what we have planned and everything else.
It's for me, listeners. I'm an hour and a half ahead of Eastern Standard Time
and 2.5 hours ahead of me. So,
yeah, so
we try to take it easy on each other
between 9:30 and 10:30. Between 9:30 and 10:30.
The Star Wars Alliance podcast, of course, goes live on Wednesday nights during freaking Obi-Wan. We are dropping that live same days, of course. That goes live 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Marvel goes live Thursday night, 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, for the boys specifically, we are going to be going live, or not live, sorry. We have weekly episodes on Sundays. The first episode already dropped. I'm going to try to join the second episode. I have really enjoyed the boys so far. The first 3 episodes were fucking insane, especially the first 10 minutes of that first episode. Whew. Man,
Don't
that was.
eat supper and watch The Boys. That is that is my TED Talk.
I'm just gonna say, be careful where you sneeze. That's all I'm gonna say. Uh, and then, of course, we are an ad-supported network as well as a listener-supported network. What that means is that we will have ads in this episode. If you don't want to listen to those ads, well, you just have to join us live here on YouTube at the Geekverse YouTube channel. You can just press subscribe and make sure that notification bell is set on all. If you don't want to join us live, well, that's too bad. I'm a little sad, but that is okay. You can always join our Patreon. Patreon is $1 to just say thank you, but the $5 tier does give you the exclusive access as well as the early access to the shows every single week, ad-free. Heinz, of course, has his giant list of top 5s. Joe has his multiverse minutes. Brent and Chris have the we can watch this all day. Katie has the legendary conversations talking about canon and non-canon stories in Star Wars and how they relate to the current canon of Star Wars. Very, very cool stuff. And then every once in a while, when I have the time, I will review comics, as well as with Travis Snell. We are reviewing Batman 89, and we're just waiting for that 6th issue. Now,
yeah, and we do come up with new things as well. Listeners, myself and Clay are kicking around an idea. We're just trying to get the time. I think when Kenobi ends and Superman and Lois is over, and we kind of wind down for the summer, I think that's maybe when we might talk about kicking that sometime in the gear.
Yeah.
Also, Eddie's new here to the channel. Brett over at Marvel Alliance told him about us. I hope Brett said good things. I filled in for him last week on Marvel Alliance, Eddie, so he's kind of legally bound to say at least a half dozen nice things about me and DC Alliance. Just
well,
there'll be less tweets.
I will say Heinz has this whole ordeal about calling Chris and Brent bullies and stuff, so I don't know.
It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun, unless you put something wrong in the chat. No, I'm
yeah,
kidding.
Heinz had a little bit of a moment this morning, but it's all good. But that is it for the network plugs. I believe that is everything. Trying to think of anything specifically. I don't believe so. So
just a
let's
couple
go ahead.
comments here.
On the game says, can they stop the CW shows, please, and bring it all under DC Studios banner with better budgets and 8 to 10 episode seasons? On the game, we will get into that. We will definitely get into that tonight, as well as Eddie continued to say, I believe they should have their own studio like Marvel with Disney, less hands in the pot for creative freedom. Well, amen, that Eddie. Does technically go into our second topic of the night.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and jump into this first one that you put here. Looks like we have some posters and Funko Pops and a little bit of an update. Well, not really an update, more of just like, I guess he's doing like countdown posts on Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, he shared. There was a leaked photo today. I didn't put it in because it was leaked at the time, but The Rock has since shared it in the last hour. The behind the scenes of him, I think it was shared in our GUA chat as well. Just held up on a post, but he's been revealing some things. There were some cool posters. Clay, it was, I think, Twitter user Mikel Valera. I'm not sure if he's the one that created them. I think maybe he did, but there's 6 posters. There's one of the Black. I almost called him The Rock. That's how he used to he was always like a superhero to me. Kind of used to saying that, but we have the JSA and Black Adam in one really cool poster. we have the same thing, but they're in diamonds and lightning and various
I
other
really like the
symbols.
art style of these posters.
Same, and it kind of makes me think we may have an adversarial part of this. I think that eventually they'll be on the same page, Black Adam and JSA. But from the poster of Black Adam and Hawkman going against each other, I think that they could be adversarial to start.
I think so. I think so that it would make sense for them to butt heads a little bit before they really get down and be like, hey, maybe you can actually help us out here. Ethan Cope says, am I the only one that really did not like the Gotham Knights trailer for CW? Ethan, you completely missed
You need to
what we
rewind, Ethan. At the start of the show, we kind of got into that before we even did our network plugs. So, like the 3 minute mark, we talk about it. We're on the same boat with you. I think there's probably a handful of people that like the trailer at best. So I
yeah,
think they're in the with the majority on this one.
yeah, for sure. But along with these posters, there also came Funko Pops. I haven't really seen too much of the
I
Black Adam
was
folk.
I will share them right now, Clay, on the screen for our YouTube listeners. Some of them are quite. I actually enjoy them, especially the Doctor Fate one. But this is Hawkman in his ship.
Okay.
This is the villain. What's his name?
Oh shoot. I can't remember. Are they do they share the names? Let's see here.
Sabak.
Okay.
Sorry, Sabak. And then we have Hawkman again in all his glory. So this is a pretty badass one.
I need to get used to the red. I don't know if I
Yeah,
necessarily like it. Like this color red on a Funko Pop looks a little weird,
it
but
looked
I mean
really
I
cool in the
in
little
in the
teaser thing we
trailer,
got.
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see now in the real trailer what it like actually looks like. Because that was just like a one thing of him open up his wings. But Doctor Fate looks pretty cool. I love how he kind of doesn't have like eye slots either.
Yeah.
And Cyclone kind of looks
Cyclone.
most average to me. And Adam Smasher looks pretty cool too.
I really hope that they give Atom Smasher the quote unquote Ant-Man treatment when it comes to Funko Pops, where they do a small one, then
And
they'll
a
do a
big
big
one.
one, and then they'll do like a mini one. That's what I want to see.
And obviously, there's like 17 of Black Adam. There's one of him with lightning. Why did he always make lightning blue? I don't. And here's him just
It-
hovering, and then
Flying with
there's
a
one of
cape,
him
and then him
sitting
on
on
the
the throne,
throne. Very
and that
nice.
solves him. Yeah. So pretty cool. I'm a fan of Funkos, and I probably the one I think I like the most out of all of them is Doctor Fate. So, and oddly enough, he's
Now
the
I
character I'm
believe
most interested in seeing.
Sabak was the Sabak Funko is the first time we are seeing what the character will look like in the movie.
I
I
think
think that is pretty
officially,
cool.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is certainly cool, and I wonder how he's going to come to be. Like that's the thing: is he going to get out the same way that Black Adam did, or is he going to be always? Is he going to be something that the JSA has been going up against that maybe shows up, maybe somehow involves Black Adam, somehow gets him involved?
Yeah. Uh, I I'm not familiar with Sabak's character. Well, I am familiar because I've read a few stories with him, but I haven't read enough to really know his origin, his backstory, his involvement with the JSA or Black Adam. To be completely honest,
Mm.
so all of this for the most part will be newer to me, which I have no problem with. I think that's very very cool. But before we jump into our main topic, let's well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and jump into it. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Um, this is, of course, the DC Black Label Studios news that we have heard about. We started to hear more and more that Zaslav is really starting to be like, hey, if we're going to be successful with this giant IP of characters, then we definitely need to do something about this studio. And we had talked about this in length, I believe, 2 episodes ago, in reaction to the possibility of him bringing back a whole bunch of old employees, bringing in new people from MGM, all sorts of news. It seems like he is really trying to get the firepower to make a successful studio. Now, the latest rumor, because again, this is still technically a rumor, nothing has been confirmed about this whatsoever, but we are starting to hear this thing about Todd Phillips and Joker. Now, I think the last thing we heard about Joker 2 was that the script finally got written, because we kept on hearing pushback on like, oh, he hasn't even written it yet. He's been kind of holding back and all of these different things. So we know that it's written. We know it's happening, unfortunately. But now it seems that Zaslav, again, allegedly, has gone to Phillips and said, hey, I'm sorry that WB was so stupid. We lost all of this money. And I believe in what you are making. So much so, how would you like to run this pitched? Because it was Phillips advisor, runner. They're kind of in the same.
No, advisor advises someone who is running the thing. So maybe he's advisor to Zaslav.
But again, no. Again, like we said prior to even pushing the record button today, going live, I said, I believe we are getting a DC Studios.
Oh, 100%.
But I also believe we are getting inside of that studio a sub studio called DC Black Label. I think as a major producer for DC Black Label, Todd Phillips will basically just sit up top.
I think Todd Phillips will. I think you will do what you're saying. I just think that Todd Phillips won't take that sitting up top role. I just think he'll do the movies he wants to do. Now, maybe he'll produce. Maybe he'll be executive producer on some of these other films to help guide them a little bit in what you have to do or what pitfalls you could fall into while making a.
Well, and that's the thing. When I say it, when you say advisor, when I say front runner, this isn't your traditional Marvel or DC, where it's like, okay, we need these movies to line up. We need them to tell a fluid story or anything. Just like his movie, Joker. Joker was an independent film that was, from what we know, pitched as something that wasn't related to Joker. And then, after a few edits, after thinking about it, he turned it into a Joker story. Was it not?
I thought that he just said that he came up with this all at one time. I could be wrong. Like, you could be right in what he's saying. I know that was the sentiment. Like, he got this movie made because it was this kind of movie wrapped in a Joker, wrapped in like a little comic book wrapper, like a Joker wrapper. But the core stuff about the film is what he wanted to make, and he just used the Joker to get this film
exactly
made.
And that's what I mean. I think he wrote this movie and was like, hey, to get this movie for sure made, let's etch out this name of the main character and write Joker. That's basically what he did. Now, on the game says
$70 million independent film. Now, how much did Joaquin Phoenix get for starring in that, and then how much was left over for the budget of an entire film? I still think is a quite impressive feat for the money that it.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
On the game says just get a full-time studio head. I think
we're
that
not
they
saying
are.
that. Yeah,
I think that they are. But when it comes to DC Black Label, it's an entirely different monster than the DCEU as we know it. Because the way that I think of DC Black Label is when people say, hey, how would you pitch Joker to somebody who's never seen it? Oh, well, think Kings of Comedy meets Taxi Driver with the Joker. Right? That's easily something that you would say. Well, how would you pitch more of these films? This also gets into a question that we got asked by our fellow host on the GUA, Chris from Marvel Alliance. He asks...
Hold on a second. Eddie also says Black Label would probably be the Elseworlds, and the other would be the main timeline. Yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for, Eddie. But the problem there sometimes arises when you have a too big of a hit. How many times did I see not just tweets but articles saying like Joker should be brought into the Batman
Oh,
universe, or Joker should be
it
brought into the main DCEU universe. Or
okay, but people are saying the exact same thing over Pattinson's Batman, and
yeah, I know.
nobody's
It's
screaming
just
about that.
no. I'm just saying it's the frustrating thing to when you have it when one of these hits big, they're like, okay, put it in the main universe. But before it hits big, they're like, no, it's okay. Let's have it over here in this DC's Black Label. Like that's fine. But if it hits
Well,
big,
no,
they're like, bring it
nobody's
into the new continuity.
okay,
No, I'm
but
just
see
saying
the
you're
thing, but
masking stuff up.
the thing is though, it's one thing for these to be a big of like a big part of DC's IP. There's a big universe within it or whatever, but like people aren't screaming like, "Oh, we need the Matrix in the Terminator universe." You know, like
No,
they're two separate IPs. They're huge on their own, and they can be big on their own. Same thing with Black Label and DC. So
you and I think that. I'm just saying, unfortunately for us, the execs and sometimes they think the general audience doesn't think the same. Good God, we had Harley Quinn say a little like 2 second thing in Arrow, and Suicide Squad in that show got shut down quicker than you can say boo.
I know. Now, Ethan, I will get back to your comment. S-Bubs, I saw this comment. You made this joke on Geekverse, and I will have to say I 100% disagree with you. I know it's a joke, but he's saying just take two Scorsese films and then add a character, and that's your pitch for every single movie. But I would like to think of this differently because we see really good non-DC and Marvel movies make a lot of money, make a lot of noise with the general audience, that of like a La La Land, really big with the general audience, right? Then you have things like Gucci was another one with Lady Gaga, not DC, not Marvel, but made a lot of noise. You get these dramas and you get these, you know, bigger movies. Of course they get big because of the talent that's attached to them. That's completely fine. You know, Creed is another one, like very very cool. You know, back in the day there was also the Cinderella Man in the same, you know, vein of Creed, with Russell Crowe. But Ethan, further up in the comments, had said, do you think that the DCEU films will have the DC logo at the beginning, and then Black Label films will say in association with DC, like how the Sony Marvel movies with Spider-Man spinoffs? I think what they will do, what I would hope that they do, if you see right behind us here on YouTube, it is the DC Black Label
There you go. That's what I want.
logo.
Yeah.
I think that they should make one for DC Black Label films. I think that will for sure get people to be like, okay, this is definitely DC still, but what is this Black Label business? And then that's when they can show the difference between the two DC universes.
Yeah, you can even show the label first, and then you can like flick it over and then show the words like DC Black or something like that, just to let people know what it is. Because uh, the reason why they do that, Ethan, is because they have to share the rights to Spider-Man. So that's kind of why
Yeah,
that's in there. If they had their way, it wouldn't be like that. But that's just and DC owns all their characters, so
it's Morbin time. Sorry.
it's just
Um,
for the general audience. I think you need to have the words in there too. So maybe have a symbol and then it flick over and you get the DC Black Label like you have there. Like
I would, you know what? I would really like that. I think the aesthetic of like the DC
you know
Comics
exactly what
logo
I'm trying to say too. It's hard
would,
for me to describe it,
yeah,
but
and it would literally just flip and it would turn to DC Black Label.
yeah.
SPub says, "Oh yeah, I feel Scorsese's influence was something that could have only worked with someone like the Joker. All these characters could be totally different genres, and I'd be all for it." On the Game asked the same question that Chris did over on Twitter, and we'll go ahead and get into that question now. Chris asks, "What are three Black Label projects that each of you would like to see them produce? At least one of them needs to be an HBO Max limited series." So you put in one extra one. You said three and then one HBO Max series. So you go ahead, name your HBO Max series. What would yours be?
And it's only going for one season because I don't think for the good of your nation and for the good of the world that it can go on for longer than that. But I want one season of The Question. I want
Okay.
him looking up the craziest conspiracy theories that you can come up with in the DC world, and I want him to actually find one that is actually like there, and that's what takes the whole of the series.
Okay, okay. My HBO Max series would be a time travel series with Rip Hunter and take influences from Predestination, Looper, and Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh,
You
okay.
you
I thought it
you
was gonna be
take
more Doctor Who related,
no
but
no 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 you you
okay, I'm
you
here for this.
you take those types of movies because, like I said, you get movies that have the drama, that have the seriousness that DC Black Label needs, because that's the whole point of DC Black Label. It is grittier, it's darker. It was originally pitched, DC Black Label comics were originally pitched for adult readers only. So you kind of have to do the same thing here. Not have to, but that's what most people would probably think when coming from fans going into the movies. So that is my uh, Black Label HBO Max limited series. What is one of your uh, theatrical releases for DC Black Label?
Okay, obviously because they want to use him in the Batman as well. You can do a great tragic villain story for Mister Freeze.
Okay, okay. Um, the next one I had this before. Uh, I had read, well, technically after some comments from Stu over on our Twitter. I'll go ahead and read his comment. He says Black Label can be good with right creators and choice of characters. Like Jonah Hex could be the star of a thriller horror type of western if they wanted one. So my first theatrical theatrical Black Label movie would be a western with Jonah Hex, and you take inspiration from the Quick and the Dead, 310 to Yuma, something like that. You
Okay.
instead of writing a superhero western, you write a western with a DC character. That's what you need to do with all of these films. You take the non-superhero genre first. You write that, and then you add the superhero or DC character in there last. I think
Okay.
that's the only way these things work.
I have one that I don't know if you can do that with. That is my final choice. Is I'm choosing characters that I've wanted to see, like especially
Okay.
villains that I've been deprived. And I know, yes, I said Mister Freeze, but I'm sorry, I don't consider what Arnold Schwarzenegger did. It didn't satisfy me at all. So that's why I chose him. I know we got him at some point, but Clayface. I want Clayface. I want to see Clayface done in live action. And like I said before, it is
Oh,
one
you
of
could
the more
no, no, no. So
tragic,
you
tragic
can do
backstories.
something with Clayface.
Yeah.
The way you do Clayface is you do um like the movie Prestige, or because those had sci-fi elements in them. Same thing with Looper, same thing with Predestination. Those were sci-fi thrillers. Clayface can be a sci-fi thriller, and then you add the DC character to it. Like,
You just need to establish that element of down on his luck actor too.
yeah,
Uh, and his looks are starting to go a little tiny bit, which would result in the stuff. If you want it to go that way to how he got his Clayface powers, it all depends.
I think so SBub says um what is the range what is the rain budget for DC Black Label division? The rain as far as like, oh, I guess like dark gritty
I think he meant
rainy.
range, the
Oh, well,
range for
the
the budget.
range of the budget, I think it should stay within with how Joker did. I think $60 should be your minimum. 60
I would say
million.
50 to 100 would have been mine. So we're kind of in
Yeah,
the same.
I was
Because
gonna say either It's 60 to 120, and that is
Yeah.
it. You can't go above that. If you do, then you need to start rewriting your film for a high budgeted DCEU film. So that is, I said my Western, you said your Clayface one. My last one would be a dramedy, a dramatic comedy. Yeah, he
No, he
says
actually
no
did mean Rain. He means
rain.
Rain budget. God dang it! How did I fall for that? Yeah, it's gonna be
so
raining all the time. Especially my movies are taking place in Gotham City.
so I would have a dramedy for my last pick, a dramatic comedy with either Booster Gold or Beast Boy, and you put it in the same realm of inspiration of The Truman Show or Forrest Gump or something like that. So
Beast
that's
Boy might be a bit pricey for the transformations. Like
oh you
I,
don't you, yes, but I still think that unlike Titans, you can still work with the CGI a little bit to make at least more than at least one animal.
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
true.
saying you need to do a whole cast of characters,
No,
but you need to just do more than one. But
everybody knows that.
with how
Almost everybody.
Garfield Logan's life is, especially in the comics, being an action star at one point, a movie star or whatever, then being on the Teen Titans and things like that, I think his life could be a little bit of a dramedy. So that's why I chose Garfield Logan. But I think Booster Gold would work really, really well with that too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Clay. That's a good choice. I'd like to see Booster Gold, to be honest with you. Really would.
Nice. Now, on top of all of this going on with DC Black Label, we also got the news that everybody was absolutely thrilled to hear. My whole timeline on Twitter was either laughing emojis, partying emojis, or gifs or whatever. People were ecstatic about
It's
this.
like a gigantic Twitter Congo line.
Basically, is what it
Basically.
was. But Toby Emmerich has left the building.
Yeah, Toby's done, son.
So Heinz, how you feel about this? Let's get your opinion out of the way first. What do you think about this?
A lot of mismanagement and misdeeds went on while he was running the show. I think that I will say, in his defense, his hands were kind of tied because he went through 2 mergers, and he somehow survived the first. But like I've been saying since we started here, this is a sports team, and the person who I feel the worst for is not even Toby Emmerich in this whole thing, because amongst this report we got, and Walter and David Zaslav is looking for like the head of DC Studios. He wants to make a DC Studios, and
Yeah.
right now, currently in the structure of Warner Brothers, uh, that was Walter Hamada's role to run DC films.
Yes.
So he's currently looking for that replacement. So that's got to be terrible. Nobody wants to have to like hear that somebody's looking for your job, your replacement. And that's got to suck. But yeah, Toby put out some good movies. He's an EP on some of the movies, like The Batman. He championed that, and I really enjoyed that. So thank you for that. But as like the rest of the people, I don't think. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Is basically my sentiment there. That's a nice way I can say that.
Now,
I don't know about that out of the game because the rumor came out on the games that he got paid in the role and will get paid in a similar role elsewhere soon. I don't know about that because the rumor came out like a month and a half, 2 months ago when this Discovery thing actually became like 100% fit, not 100% official, but official. I think a month ago it became actual official. But it did come out that Toby was putting out feelers to Netflix and other
well,
studios.
that was longer than a month ago. That was
Yeah,
a while
so
ago.
and that got shut it down. So he's getting his own production company. And so yeah, let's I don't know if he's going to get paid in that role somewhere else sometime soon. Maybe Sony will hire him. Who knows?
I mean, let's let's face it, it's about who you know. And with
Mhm.
Hollywood and how scummy things are,
Well, he
Tommy
may get
Emmerich
back there.
will
He may get
he
back there.
he will find a place again.
Oh yeah, I just
Um,
don't know if he'll ever be like like as high of a position as he was here. But like he was running the film studio, like the
yeah,
film show. So I don't know if he'll ever get that high again. Like he may get a part of something, but I don't know if he'll ever get the control because his track record. And at a certain point, your track record has to speak too. And yeah,
yeah. Now, he is being replaced with the two individuals that we had talked about last week.
Michael
Them,
DeLuca and
yeah,
Pam
DeLuca
Abdi.
and Abdi. Um, they, of course, were the two that worked for MGM, and now going to temporarily look after DC films. Now, I'm more curious about this. Now, it says temporarily. Are they allowed to make any large choices during this time? Are they kind of just overseeing what is currently on the docket? Like,
Clay, it says it
what
right
is.
here. Shortly after memo was circulated, Warner Bros. Discovery sent an official notice calling the structure long range and added DeLuca and Abdi will oversee operations on all three units until clarity comes for Warner Animation and DC Films. And in brackets, it said both of which have leaders presently in place. Sucks for those leaders to read that.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like they are overseeing everything.
Yeah.
But as I said, it doesn't really clarify
No, it does not.
if they're allowed to be like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and pitch and put the green light on this high budgeted DC film that's coming out in 2024, like they're not really there's nothing really that says, hey, that's something that they can do. On the game says Amy Pascal still getting paid through her production company after getting booted out at Sony.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But on the game, you have to look just up to your last message where he said he got paid in the role and will get paid in a similar role. That is not a similar role. So as I went on to say, he won't get as high as he was at this present time. That's what I meant. Didn't mean he wouldn't get a little bit of cheddar from a random
Oh
thing
well,
that he's
that's
producing.
that
That's a
that's
given.
that's how things roll. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're still signed off to this, so you will get the your cut when this movie is either produced, either uh all the way put out or whatever. Like they will get what they are owed. So SBub says we're bringing back the Wonder Twins. Oh dear God, no, stop it, SBubs. Eddie says so. I know this question might be too early, almost, but with the whole Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp, I've seen that they were taking Mira being cut out completely. Any official recast or anything else? Now, I have said this before on this cast. I think if the rumor is true that they have cut her completely from Aquaman 2, they will not recast until this new reboot is completely set. They will recast, but they won't really worry about it until the new DCEU is fully in function.
Yeah, I don't know how they get out of some of it. Like, there's going to have to be settlement reached with her, maybe, because she'll probably just sue and say, because of the Johnny Depp stuff, they're not going to continue me. They'll say chemistry. That's kind of really hard to prove when you look back at their first film that made $1 billion and then say editing did that. Uh, I know that the rumor right there is that they have two different cuts of this film, one with her in it and one without her in it, that they're
Oh, I didn't know
testing out.
that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I've seen and heard that, and I know I heard Snell discuss that on Baka stream
Okay.
last week. So I have heard that as well. So that could be the case there, Eddie. They might test it, and if it does better, they'll keep her out because the rumored time is like 10 minutes max that she's in the film.
Yeah.
So you can cut that out, or you don't need to show
You
her
can cut
part.
it out and put it in more screenings on the theaters, right? Right? That's how
But
that works.
but it's not like it's cutting out the Flash or putting somebody else's face on Flash for an entire movie. To cut her out. I don't think it's that hard, and they won't recast her like Clay said until we go into this like to Aquaman 3. Like
Yeah.
you won't hear any news for a while on that for
Yeah.
recasting. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I don't know what else we have in line for us to be talking about currently.
I have
After all
the
that,
I
oh,
have the other stuff, Clay.
okay. Go ahead and what was next on the docket?
We have a couple things here. We have a quick hits. The Flash movie gets exciting news from test screenings. So Variety shared that The Flash has been extraordinarily well received from audiences who have watched the movie during its early test screenings in the past months. The outlet noted that this positive initial reception points to the Ezra Miller-led movie serving as a crowd-pleasing blockbuster and box office success. Variety sources also revealed that Warner Brothers is planning on giving the upcoming superhero movie the full blockbuster treatment, with Ezra Miller as the lead, despite Miller's series of arrests in Hawaii since March. So, Clay, are you? I'm going to detach. We're going to have two conversations here. The first conversation is: are you? Does it at least like keep you positive that we're hearing so many good things about test screenings like this? Like not for the other stuff, but for the actual film and the content in it. Does that make you like Supergirl's in this?
No, like I'm excited for what is to be shown on the Flash.
Yeah.
And again, I've said this before on the cast. Everything in production and that is coming up besides Super Pets, I'm excited about. I'm super excited about it. And the only one that I'm worried about is the Flash. How they will handle this reboot, because I am still holding my gun to saying, hey, that is what it's going to be. Like it's going to be a soft reboot, and we're going to start with a new DCEU after this film. That's what I believe.
I think you could be right there. I also think they will keep the door open just a smidge, but because of what they saw with No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, in terms of you can bring characters back and you can get a big payday, you can do a big payoff and get a lot of people coming if you do it right. Like
Yeah.
you're doing that with Batman. So
Yeah.
in this film, so I
Now,
think
as
they
as
won't.
far as me being like, so this whole thing with Ezra Miller,
Yeah, like I
we
was trying to separate the two. I know you said you're excited for the story. It's hard, like before you even get into it, it's hard for me to even see how anybody can do an interview leading up to this movie with him.
now again, I know that on Geekverse they were like, why can't they just stop people from asking questions A through Z? And they technically can request, hey, he will not, or she will, or they will not answer this question, or this question. That doesn't stop these interviewers from asking those questions. Really good example is Robert Downey Jr. He will not talk about his past. He has put that behind him. He has had a very successful life and career since making his big return since Iron Man, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And people will still ask him about his drug abuse and all of that stuff, and I think they're
Yeah.
idiots.
Oh yeah, especially
Now,
like if he even puts it out there as like I don't want to talk about this and I've done
then
my
people are going to be
time.
like, all right,
I've
you
paid.
got to get him to talk about it, because if you're the first person to get all the
Especially
inside scoops on it,
it's been worse, Clay. Like every time, like every single I don't know how they're not going to ask about it because every single uh, interview is going to hope they get a little snippet that they can go viral because that's all that most journalism cares about is
I
viral.
mean, and people will be very indirect about it. They will ask Ezra, they will ask him, so how do you feel about NFTs? And that's their route into that stupid situation that he got himself in Hawaii. S Pub says Ezra Miller storms out of the Flash interview after being asked shocking question.
I love how
Uh,
you made capitalize the perfect words there for the standard spam article. SPubs,
exactly.
he knows. It's going to be weird though, Clay. For me personally, I don't know how they're going to do the like. Will they not have him there? Will they have him here? Like you said, tell the people you can't do this, this, and this, or you'll never get another interview for us. And if that stuff starts to come out, how good are you going to look? So
They're prepping Ezra. All right, no hitting, no slapping, no choking. All the chairs have already been bolted down, so you can't throw it at anybody. So don't try it. Like it's gonna be a spectacle for sure.
well, we're also told multiple times. I know Dave, the film, he said this too from sources that he knows, saying that you're going to get some stuff come out on the other side about this. I don't really. I just want to see this film, to be honest with you, Clay. I don't even. I'm like, especially with the herd
What
and
does he
depth trial and all
is
that
he saying
bullshit.
is he saying that like Ezra's gonna be like trying to make himself the hero of the
Not the
situation of what
hero,
happened?
just give some more context on why some things happened or escalated. I don't know.
They
I just don't.
stole my NFT, guys. I really needed it
Well, we
back.
don't know. Like, I need to, it's always a he say, she say sort of thing. I wouldn't be surprised on anything I've heard about Ezra Miller doing at Hawaii. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if all of it is true. Especially the reasons why, too. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm just sick of this kind of stuff. The noise from this and Aquaman with the Depp versus Heard and us finding out some stuff about the Aquaman film because of the trial. I'm just over this stuff now. Like, just give me my films. Like, all these films were supposed to come out this year. All these films were supposed to come out this year at the start of this year with that goddamn trailer teaser. It comes back to that. Those bad juju. You put that bad juju
I love
in the world.
how you are still upset about that.
Well, they put that bad juju in the world, and this is what you get back from it. When you knew, I know they knew those movies were getting delayed anyway, and they just put that out to create more buzz for Batman. I know it. Oh, just so frustrating. Think God dropped out under asses now. Anyway, sorry, that's just a little moment. I'm the one becoming mad at the show.
Now, in regards of Ezra and this whole thing about him not being recasted, I don't think it's as hard as they're attempting to make it sound, because they're like, oh, well, you have to change the entire movie. No, you don't.
The only way you can do it is the Katie way.
All you have to do is change the ending of the movie. That's all you gotta do.
I don't. For you and I, yes.
Yeah, it's a cop out.
I don't know. You need to show more to get the general audience to know what's going on, Clay.
No, you don't. Because
if he comes back from time travel and looks in the mirror and sees different faces, like, he's going to need to see a few people that looks different first from the people he saw at the start of the film, too.
No. See, it's almost in this way of like, people will be like, what the hell happened to him? What the hell happened to him? And then the general audience will go see every Flash movie afterward to try to figure out what the hell happened to his face. That's it.
Maybe, or maybe not at all. Maybe it will not work. And people will be like, what the fuck is going on here? This is what? Well, where's the actor that I've been watching for 98% of this film? What is going on?
Nah, I don't think it's that.
That's the two. I don't think it is, and you don't think it is. But I'm just saying that's the balancing act, because you do have people in the big upper side thinking.
No, and then then I shared this article with you guys that was like, oh, well, here's the reasoning why we can't recast him, because he's not a big name, and he's not Robert Downey Jr. He's not Iron Man, guys. So, like,
that was like, that made no. I was like, what? He's not Iron Man? No shit.
So usually the argument is, hey, he's not that well known, so you can recast him. This guy's argument, well, he's not well known, so you can't recast him.
That's the exact opposite of the thing. The thing that hurts the recasting is the amount of times we've been seeing him lately. Like, he just showed up on the Peacemaker show, and I understand that's why they did that, because his movie was coming out, and it's just a whole, like, they really put their chips behind somebody that, not gonna lie, if I was gambling, I wouldn't put my chips behind him, because
now let's be completely honest. When he was in Peacemaker, he had his mask on, he was in costume.
Yeah,
people will go back to watch it and be like, oh, I guess that's not the same actor, but it's still the same character. They have the same suit.
I don't know, maybe, but will they even have? There's so many variables. Like, this is a bit of a shit show, but I'm excited to see the film. It's just the stuff outside of the film is a bit of a crap story. But I really am excited to see what Andy Muschietti does, and I wonder if it's going to make grown men cry. Ape shit.
I again, there's plenty of things that I don't agree with in the sense of where this is going, as far as like Michael Keaton being the uh Peacemaker finale re-edited. That would be hilarious. No, but like Michael Keaton being the Batman of the future of the DCEU. Well, we know there is still hope of a younger Batman because there's rumors out there that Keaton himself, Batman of Batman 89, is a tease of Crisis to come. Like, that brings me hope. And with that, if people do it right, if Zaslav is like, hey, let's get somebody who really knows how to do this, they can take that and really make some really cool stories with that information
100%.
in the future of the DCEU. So I am hopeful. I am not hyping myself up with this. I am holding expectations.
Yep.
But there is still
you're giving the new regime a chance to see what they can do.
I'm saying, hey, this is what you have. Don't mess it up. Even though I know you will probably mess it up.
No, I will say Zaslav,
Which is why you should go ahead and hire me, DC.
A lot of those decisions we're in agreement with. When Wonder Twins was announced, I'm pretty sure both of us looked at each other and said, you know, I could think of 20 different things that I probably would think of using before these characters.
When you tell me, hey, I want to make a movie about twins where only one of them can only turn into a bucket of water, I'm punching you in the face. And I'm telling you to get out of my office.
When they touch together, they turn into things like
no, only so one of the twins can turn into any animal, while the other twin can only turn into a bucket of water.
Was it like that on Super Friends? I don't think it was on Super
Yes.
Friends. You sure?
I am pretty sure it was.
My God, because I don't remember that. I thought two of them could. That is even. Oh my God, who did somebody when they were on out like leaving the last day at WB was like stamping stuff like approved, and ran out through the door, and that's
again. Wonder Twins were created in the golden age of comics where there was just some ridiculously weird shit going on in comics. So they were just like, oh, this matches everything else that we're reading. This is fun. And then like, hey, let's make it for the modern world. Oh, we can't. Well, I guess we'll just shelve them until something new comes around.
I think you could introduce them where they could be players in DC. I don't think they can have their own film. I don't know. But not a bad decision. And Clay, the final story of the night, the funny story that I had to bring up, there was a message from the Belfry Gotham Knights game crew.
Yes.
And they said the Gotham Knights game and the upcoming TV show of the same name are separate projects with no connection to one another. We can't wait for you to experience the action of our Gotham Knights soon. And to double down on it, the executive producer, Marty Fleur, commented on a Q&A section of the game. He said, there's no connection whatsoever. He said, no, it's not. We know it's been pretty confusing for our community and for the general public to discover that the CW TV show called Gotham Knights was in the making and planned to release next year, especially since several outlets used the logo and images from the game to talk about the show at the very beginning. But there is no connection whatsoever between our game and the DC and the CW show. I gotta say, I have
they were like, why is everybody talking about this show with our logo? Let's watch this trailer, and saw a massive pile of dog shit, and they were like, we need to address this right now.
I've never seen that before. Never.
This is absolutely hilarious.
Like normally they would do the exact opposite, which is not say anything and try and build more momentum with the fans of the other thing, thinking that both of these things might be related or in same continuity, and then at the very end tell them no, this is just its own. They got out ahead of this right at the get-go. They saw Gotham Knights trending last week and was like you said, what was that? What are they talking about with their game? Wait, what is this? Oh God, no! And they were like, no, shut it down.
Like they had to shut that shit down immediately.
Just a funny little.
I need to look inside of their Discord. I am a part of the Discord just to see like if there's any conversation still going on about the connections about the two, or if any mods or developers have said anything personally in there. But yeah, no, this is absolutely hilarious that they would go out of their way to be like, yeah, we're gonna have to separate these two. SPUB says the Gotham Knights TV show account should have tweeted hashtag it's all connected. Oh dear God.
And then SPUB, you would see pre-sales go. Brr,
Well, no, one thing I will say, which I haven't seen the entire trailer, but because of SBubs sharing screenshots and everything in the Geekverse Discord, I did see the cowl that they're using for the show. This legit looks like a very poor attempt at a 3D print of the Batman's cowl.
Did you see?
Like,
Did he share the screen grab of the Batman dead? Because that's a funny one. He's wearing a duster.
apparently everybody already knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne and he died outside of his costume, but they're still calling him Batman and not Bruce Wayne.
I thought I saw a little like a half a second thing where he's getting taken by cops, but he's wearing the Batman mask. And it looks like he got a duster on, like a duster jacket. It was
Again,
weird.
I haven't seen it. I'm not going to. It's very, very weird.
I haven't watched it a second time, Clay. So that's another thing. Like most time I watch trailers a second time.
I'm going
on
to
that.
double down. I'm going to double down. Gotham Knights on the CW is DC's Morbius. Is 100% DC's Morbius. SWeb says he died in a regular suit with just the cowl on.
Yeah, like SPubs, it looked like a giant duster type jacket that he was wearing, like a long black jacket and the mask. It was, like I said, the only thing I thought would have been funny is seeing you react to how terrible it was.
Oh no! Do you know what I saw? I saw somebody on Twitter react to this and say, "This is DC joining the Riverdale universe."
Yeah, I've said that when I was watching. I was like, this is essentially Riverdale, but in Gotham City. Like they walk through a wormhole.
Oh man,
it's terrible. But you didn't make the bad choice of not looking at it. It's just I thought it was very funny that the game went out of the way to say we are not associated with this whatsoever. Please distinguish between us. Don't associate us with that. They'll probably be canceled after one episode.
That is just way too funny. Way too funny. Well, guys, thank you for so much for lasting this long. Kind of a shorter episode than what we usually have. But really excited to see what DC Black Label turns into over at the new DC Studios when it gets announced. Looking forward to hearing who that. Real quick before we go, I just wanted to say John Hazelton on Twitter actually commented on our post from last week in preparation for this episode. He says, I hope they go through with the Black Label thing. I always thought it was good. It was a good idea. Like Todd Phillips said in his pitch, don't try to be Marvel. Do what Marvel can't. Joker is proof it can work if done right. And I 100% agree.
I agree too. Clay,
yeah.
I think you could go somewhere, but you can also have a main continuity, main storyline at the same time.
Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for lasting this long. Like I said, of course, you can find me at FanboyClay on Twitter. Go into the bio of my Twitter. You can find the link tree to all the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course, Star Wars Alliance.
Big shout out to everyone that was in the chat live. On the game, Ethan Cope, Eddie Caswell, SBubs, obviously you were MVP of GUA, and the rest. And thank you so much, Clay. It's been fun. You can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. I also host superhero discussions on the network. We have one episode left. I'm recording the penultimate episode, and then we have one episode left. I don't know what's going to happen.
Do you have anybody for that last episode? No, for the most recent episode that we all watched.
No, and I don't. I don't have one. I was going to record it tomorrow sometime.
All right. Well, after this, let's get together. We'll talk real quick because I have some thoughts about this last episode.
I was blown away. I was at the end. I didn't look at the time that was left in the episode, and I was thinking like, from everything I've seen, this is probably going to happen. Like, what the? This is actually going to happen. Are you kidding me? Like, this is going to happen. So
Yeah.
I'm on edge, and listeners, you will find that out. But we have one episode left, and we don't know if we're getting another season. So fingers crossed that we get some sort of ending here on that. But yeah, thanks for listening. It was Clay. Awesome fun this time.
Yep. See you guys later.